Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where today we're breaking down all the goals scored in the FA Cup with Newcastle and Brighton. Not that anyone cares about the FA Cup anymore, which I think is a disaster. I honestly, genuinely believe they should have 3 Champions League spots in the Premier League and give one of the Champions League spots to the FA Cup, and it would make it such a fantastic, just spectacle of events where random teams would be getting into the Champions League from England. It would be just brilliant. It would just be absolutely glorious. Yeah, I just think, especially if England get 5 Champions League spots, they should just make one of them the FA Cup. It'd be so much better. But today we're going to look at, right, so here's a little kiddie that's going to give away the penalty. I would want you to watch when the reason kind of why he's overreacting here and diving in is because there's a little dead moment where the ball's passed out to here and he hasn't actually put in the work to get back. You can see, look, his players are jogging off, so it's probably his responsibility to get back in here and mark the player on the overload. Look, as you can see, there we go, and he's just been a little bit casual. It's not really moving, not really doing anything, watching the ball, thinking, my team is going to win the ball, and this is a common thing as well. Look, you can see it's definitely his responsibility. Everyone's tucked in, completely utterly unmarked. I can go this way when they win the ball back. I'll look really good. They're going to win the ball back. I trust in my team. I'm not going to do my defensive duties. So then all of a sudden, as the ball breaks, knocks into the middle here, panic sets in. Look how far away he is. And look which direction he's going. He's assuming this team's going to win the ball and he doesn't have to do his defensive work. Now, complete and utter panic mode sets in because he realises, well, it's on his side. He's in trouble. He's the problem. And he better do something about it as fast as he can. And that's what he tries to do. Trying to make up for it. Boom. We're going to move it on. We're going to show you right at the point of the tackle here. Just got to pause it ever so slightly. Great first touch under pressure here. Trying to find a decent cross. And here's the other part. Look. There's a huge gap here. I know you might not see it, but I do. See, that's the line, right? That is the huge gap. That there is the massive space that he's trying to hit. At this level, it's just too big. Comes in, flies in, bosh, and just takes him out. Yeah. Wrong side of the ball, not going to get to the ball. It's just a penalty. I don't know how anyone can ever get excited watching a penalty, even if your own team. Yeah, penalty score. Yeah, great. Who cares? Let's move it on. So this is really awful from Newcastle. The amount of players that have been sucked in over to this one side here from a long throw coming in. And look at the gap that you just left yourself. Now, it's so important when you have gaps in the middle of the field because ultimately that's where the goal is, down the middle. So that's ultimately where all the problems end up happening. When you've got all of these players sucked in over to this one side, you're just going to cause yourself problems. So as soon as this one little flick goes on there, boom, where's he running? Straight up. There's no one between it. Well, you can say him, but no one really there to challenge him as he just runs off down the middle of the field. Can't get there, too far away. Everyone, for some reason, has decided to have a picnic over here and just completely forget, how to play football and pressure the ball. Sometimes you're better off keeping, if you're outnumbered on the flank, okay, so that long ball goes down there and you've got 2 Brighton players and only 1 Newcastle player, but you manage to keep your structure and your shape through the middle. You allow that to happen so you cannot get punished, okay? If everyone comes over and makes a huge mistake and he just gets to run through the middle for free, you're in all sorts of problems. As we move this forward, look, just off he goes, bum, bum, bum. And because now everyone's panicking about that, we've got a free run from all those players that committed because now they're not sure what to do. Do they get back into their shape? Do they track the ball? Do they track the runner? Or everything is broken down. So now it's basically, can they play football? And you'll find out a lot of Premier League players can't play football. What they can play is their shape, structure, and system. So when it all breaks down and now they've got to make really fast decisions, it's all too late. We're going to get a little through ball. Off he goes. And now we're straight at the keeper. It's just because everyone's overcommitted to one side. It's really just not good enough. Now you've got to a situation where can you fish? And honestly, he can. Beats the keeper. Now let's get into some of these red card decisions. So intent is important in football. If your eyes are on the ball and you're shoving and pushing and doing whatever, yeah, okay, it's a yellow card. But I want you to watch his head and turn and see what he does. As he goes, look, yeah, a bit of a shove there. Okay, Anthony Gordon's still running along with him. Nah, no foul, no harm, nothing doing. Turns. Now look, now he's got Anthony Gordon's lost the ball, got his hand on his shirt a little bit, and this is where the foul comes in. Puts his hand, looks straight at the player, and just smashes him in the head. You can't do that in football, unfortunately. Wish you could, but you can't in the modern day. And that becomes a foul, red card, and off you go for a nice bath, Sonny. Now, unfortunately, I don't think this is... look, this is weird. I think this is just one of those gimme yellows where I say they're going to give you a yellow card because it gets you sent off because somebody else is sent off. Because it's a challenge. It's not really a yellow card. And they never really sort of play it from another angle to show you whether or not is he stretched and the player sort of hit and then gone over, or has he gone and hit the player, and because he's hit the player's gone over. Do you get me? It's like, is his leg there? Player's hit him and gone over. I'm not saying it's a yellow, but if he's hit the player and then the player's gone over, it is. And they just don't really give you the replay angle. And that's what makes me think it's one of those referee decisions where the referee comes along and goes, right, I'm going to give them a yellow to get one of their players sent off because they've already got one player sent off. And we all know that happens in football way too often when the ref tries to even it up. Whether or not he's made a right decision or a wrong decision, it just sort of happens in football. We all know that. It just sort of, there's no real, it just happens. But that's what we call football. Is the Newcastle would have been winner, but he's offside. And we know his bum's keeping him on. Look, we can see just from my poorly drawn line that I can't stand this when, first off, let's get into the cash rant as normal that the line's so high and they're putting the ball into that space to run into where it shouldn't be. It should be down here so you can defend it and knock it out, which I say almost every single game of football. Because if this wasn't offside, they're out of the FA Cup from that stupid line that they're holding. Oh, they might have got it right this week, but they won't next week. And it just keeps going on and on and on in football. It drives me mad. But they're also, I just think it's Newcastle's own laziness that they're not onside. It's just half a step, boys. That's it. Half a step and you won the game. Yeah, come on, be better. So there's two problems. Well, there's so many problems here, but let's just comment on the simple ones. Okay, watch this little guy's hand here. He's going to point at Danny Welbeck, and he's also going to point at that space where other people need to take it to do something around. Instead, he doesn't. Sorry. He does, and as he goes forward, which he shouldn't do, they put the ball in behind, and that's the reason the goal's scored. Because of you, right? Also, this guy could have got a little bit more goal side on Danny Welbeck, but it is extra time. Here's the problem. All that effort that I'd normally be yelling and screaming at people about being goal side and getting there and doing all of that. Well, in the 120th minute of the game or 115th minute or whatever it is up here, you can't. Things are different. You've got to, look, it's just not the same. So you can't expect the same amount of effort. But you can do the simple things, right? So the simple things would be this. You don't overcommit and make yourself vulnerable by putting space in behind. So what ends up happening? A couple of things, right? So you've got, this is tiredness and laziness not to get back 2 yards and get everybody on side. If he does his job, he doesn't score. If he does his job, he doesn't score. And if he does his job, he doesn't score. So let's go through them one at a time. His job is to pressure the ball. He doesn't. His job is not to pressure the ball. Is to stay in line. If he goes forward, he opens up that space for the ball, okay? He needs to stay with his team. He cannot open up that, otherwise he opens up the passing lane. What ends up happening is, look, he steps towards, and then he's opened up the passing lane. He hasn't stepped up to keep him offside. He's opened up the passing lane, and what the other midfielder here, this guy, I don't know, you know me, I don't know people's names, he hasn't gone towards the ball, so it's exposed his centre-back coming out towards it. So each little individual mistake has caused this little pocket of space to open that he's opened up. He's kept him on side. He hasn't pressured the ball. And now it is that, do you have a little bit of quality in your legs at this late in the game to find a quality pass? And he does. Good touch. And it's a quality finish over the top of the keeper to put them in the next round of the FA Cup. Well done, Danny Welbeck. I think he's been around, I was saying the other day on my last video he was in, I think he's been around God knows how long. But do like a bit of Danny Welbeck. And I'll see you next time, guys, on Cash Talks Football.